So Dominic, what is domicile diversification?
Domicile diversification is something that's sort of very much come to the fore now over the last 12 to 18 months. Of course, you know, our services are very much for high net worth, ultra high net worth families, and wealthy people are very familiar with the concept of diversifying what they invest into and where they invest. So, you know, that could be across different asset classes, from equities to bonds to real estate, alternative investments, cryptocurrencies. They also diversify in terms of geographies, you know, whether it's into Asia or Europe or the Americas. But for a very long time, they've never really thought about from where they're investing from. And so what we've seen, particularly over the last 12 to 18 months, is these high net worth individuals have begun to very much look at their portfolio of residence and citizenships. And so they're looking to diversify that so that they have more opportunities, not only in terms of travel freedom, in terms of access to markets for whether it's business or education, but now also lifestyle and healthcare. So what we see in particularly in tier one markets like the US, in the UK now, you know, sort of post-Brexit, once it's clear that they can no longer spend unlimited time in certain countries in Europe where they may already have businesses or real estate, they're realizing the benefits of actually having this portfolio of residence and citizenship and, you know, creating a more diversified domicile portfolio. So we see clients coming to us and actually doing multiple programs with us. They're looking to get citizenship in the Caribbean alongside potentially citizenship in Europe. And with that, also looking at potentially getting permanent residence down in Australia or New Zealand, or some type of residence visa in Thailand. Singapore, of course, is a very popular jurisdiction as well. So this is what we're seeing now in terms of this domicile diversification, is wealthy families realizing the benefits of having more than one citizenship or residence and actually having multiple available to them. And of course, they can do that you know, through the various investment migration programs around the world, which we assist them with.
So Dom, what are some of the other trends that we've seen over the course of the last 12 months?
So interesting, what we've seen over the last 12 months, particularly sort of going through the start of the pandemic, is continued interest and renewed interest in our typical source markets where a lot of our clients are based. These are usually, you know, emerging economies, like such as the Philippines and India and Bangladesh and China. So the demand coming out of those markets has not changed. In fact, it's increased because of various factors, and of course the pandemic and the way countries have been able to respond to the pandemic. Now we see the rollout of the vaccine is of course not done equally in all countries. So the interest from the more emerging markets has continued as it has over the last few years. But what we have noticed is more interest now coming out of what can be considered your tier one countries like the US and Canada and the UK, markets that have not historically been significant for the investment migration industry, but have now, you know, really taken off over the last 12 months. The US, as an example, is now our single biggest jurisdiction where we are sourcing clients from. I think you know, people are realizing the benefits of having not only the benefit, but the fact that they can hold second citizenship or residence elsewhere, and that they can do it through an investment migration program, where as long as they have the financial capacity and of course that they can pass the necessary due diligence checks, they can acquire residence and citizenship now in almost 30 different countries around the world. So that's very attractive for them. So definitely that's probably the big story coming out of the last 12 months, is the fact that you have sort of, you know, significant interest coming out of those types of countries. And then lastly, you know, another area we've seen this is in sort of the financial centers, you know, whether it's here in Dubai or in Singapore or Hong Kong, there are big expat communities of, you know, financially independent, affluent, high net worth individuals that are coming from markets like India and elsewhere, and they're realizing as well the benefits of having access to other markets. It may not be possible to get any type of permanent residence or citizenship, or very difficult to get it in these financial centers, and so they are definitely looking at having that, what we've always said is plan B, but it's now almost a plan C in place by getting residents in Europe or down in Australia or New Zealand as an example.
So Dom, why is this a great time to discuss residency and citizenship options with high net worth families?
So now is, it's the perfect time to have that discussion with clients. We know we interact with a lot of private bankers, private client lawyers, tax advisors. And from those discussions, we know that clients are asking questions about residence and citizenship and potential moves. COVID and being locked down has, of course, allowed everyone, and particularly wealthy families, to reflect on where they currently are based and what opportunities there may be in other markets. And with various lockdowns, some countries not even allowing citizens back in, the value of having options available, and options include, dual or multi-citizenship, dual or multi-residence or permanent residence in a number of countries. This is the topic that a lot of clients are now wanting to discuss. And alongside that comes, all the other factors that families consider in terms of where to educate their kids, access to healthcare. All of these topics, can be addressed through one or other investment migration program. So as private bankers or lawyers are having discussions with their clients, we know the clients are asking them about various other sort of aspects of family and wealth planning. And one of those key sort of elements now is residence and citizenship planning. So now is the time to really understand what's happening in the industry, what are the options available, what are the trends we're seeing. And that's a conversation I think that every sort of intermediary or advisor should be having with their clients.
So Dom, how does Henley Partners work with private wealth advisors to help them optimize this opportunity?
The answer is very closely. So, we day in and day out, our teams across the 30 offices that we have around the world spend pretty much most of the day, with various advisors, whether they're private bankers, lawyers, tax advisors, real estate agents, family offices, IAMs. And the reason we're spending our time with them is to really educate them and update them on what's happening in the industry. We know that their clients are asking about, the Portugal Golden Residence Visa, about Maltese options, Malta, Australia permanent residence. They're looking at countries that have coped very well with the pandemic, and so they would naturally like to know a bit more about the options available in those countries. So we work very closely with all financial and legal intermediaries. Typically, we get invited in and we come and have a discussion, or nowadays more of a Zoom chat. We present to the teams around what we're seeing in the industry in terms of trends and in different markets, whether it's the US or China or the Philippines or South Africa. So we discuss the trend, we go through the various sort of objectives or reasons for clients wanting to consider residence or citizenship by investment. And there's quite a large sort of spectrum of reasons why our clients come to us for our services. And then on the back of that, of course, those team members or advisors are well informed, at least about the basics of what we do, and can have that discussion with their clients. And then, of course, if their client is then interested to find out a bit more or even pursue one of the options, then we typically get introduced into the conversation where we take them through the process and the costs involved. And then, as I said, we then help them to actually execute that strategy from A to Z.